In Catering and Tokenism, I sort of talked about some of the hows that you can employ to not fall into pitfalls with regards to representation. But why should we make stories that are more representative? Now, some of you will right away know the answer to this, so obviously this is not necessarily directed at you. But for those of you who don't know why, chances are at some point in history you felt strongly about a comic or a story, cartoon, a movie, some media, and then somebody changed it or did something to it, and you felt hurt deep down. You felt like it was an attack against your person, and maybe you got really upset about it. That feeling is about how we tie media to our sense of who we are. It becomes part of us, and in many ways we own it as much as the creators do, or at least that's how it feels. Now imagine you lived in a world where you had no stories like that, where nothing made you feel like that, where the characters you did have always felt like wrong-sized hand-me-downs. I mean, they would do the job, but they didn't quite fit right. That's the kind of situation that our world has created for a lot of people. And you might not be one of those people. Maybe everything fit you like a glove, but just because everything fit you like a glove doesn't mean that was the experience that everyone else had. At present, comic books aren't representative of the real world. And I know they're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be a hyper-representation of the real world. But when I say representative, I mean numerically representative. The types of heroes, the cultures, the ethnicities, the skin colors, the ableness, the genders, they don't reflect the real world in any tangible way. They distinctly and drastically favor the bias of creators. And so why am I telling you this? Well, I am a cis-het white dude, and so I'm part of the problem. Both literally, in the sense that growing up, I bought comics that reinforced certain stereotypes, that reinforced the male gaze, that reinforced the male parafantasy, that reinforced a lot of things in these worlds. Metaphorically, I'm at fault, in the sense that, in general, we're talking about cis-het male creators, cis-het male company owners, cis-het male consumers of media who act to gatekeep or drive away other potential customers or audiences, which actually has a negative impact on the industry, makes it very insular and non-representative, which is ultimately bad for the business and bad for the creation. Diversity gives rise to newer, different, and better stories. We deserve representative media. All of us, even the people who already feel represented, deserve greater diversity so that their representatives are able to tackle more issues from the real world that you as the consumer of the media might relate to, might enjoy. And the people who have historically not been represented deserve to be represented. They deserve to have media they can look up to. They deserve superheroes just as much as everybody else who, as much as possible, is a reflection of them. I know I grew up and I almost couldn't avoid seeing superheroes that were a reflection of me. I can't imagine how unhappy I would have been if I had to grow up unable to see that. And I don't want children of the future to experience that. So I want to talk about it. I want to talk about things I've picked up and learned. I'm no expert. I'm just an ass in a hat. I don't really know what I'm doing per se. I'm doing my best to do better. And I want to share what I've learned and discovered, not just so that you have access to that information, but also to open myself up to critique and criticism so that I can learn to do even better, so that people who have lived experiences that I don't share can help inform my worldview, can help me make better worlds through their criticism. Because ultimately, I want to make good creations. I want to make good representations of the world. And the media we consume is part of the fabric of our society and our civilization. The things we say can obviously have negative consequences, but they can also have positive. And those positives are usually the things that go unremarked, but they become part of the background noise of our existence. And so people need to be out there creating media that's representative and diverse. They need to be creating new media for the new morality. As ever, thank you for your time, and I hope thought was provoked.